Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. It is episode, we are now on 16?
I think 21,
17?
21, actually.
Uh, let's put it this way. It's been a while, guys. We'll make sure we'll get the right episode up. It is, we are talking about the week of March 1st anyways, but first, obviously, there is I know we're not in the 20s yet, but we do have to owe everybody an apology for being radio silent for so long. We got burned out.
Oh, yeah, it sucked.
So we're going to do if you guys saw the tweet, if you haven't yet, go ahead and follow the podcast on Twitter. Basically, that's what happened. We got burned out. If we explained before, we're doing this on the seat of our pants. And we gave ourselves much more work than we thought we were. Because we were putting a lot into the podcast, which we didn't mind. We love doing this podcast.
Oh, yeah, it's been a blast.
With the explanations of what we were doing, guys know the deep dives that we love doing. We had to figure out how we were going to continue this, because we really wanted to continue this. Because between the podcast and all the work we were doing for that, we both work 30 to 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Xander Invictus, cheap plug. I also have a long dormant project I want to start pursuing. Boct commentates speedrunning, and I'm sure he has other interests to pursue.
Yes, absolutely.
Plus, we need to have a personal life. It was just way too much work for us, and we had to figure out what we're going to do. So we're going to change the format up a bit. We are going to just mainly focus on the wrestling part of the DNA. We're going to give you wrestling every week, which it's going to give us theoretically infinite episodes. So we're not going to run out of material.
Right.
And then we're going to save the pop culture stuff for special occasions. Like if it's a big, not like a big deal, like if a wrestler or something like that is in a big part in a movie. Or I think it would be fun to cover the Boy Meets World episodes that had Big Van Vader. They had an episode with Mankind in an episode too.
Oh, cool.
I think when we come across those, I think those will be fun, like little side special episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But we're just going to focus on the wrestling for right now. And we're still going to be every week. But it's going to be wrestling every week as opposed to the other stuff. Because we were putting in... Basically, all our free time was going into the podcast on top of our other stuff. So
right. And we are on episode 19 today.
Thank you, 19. So once again, we want to apologize to everybody for the delay. Thank you for your patience. And also, as of this recording, it's Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
Happy Father's Day.
And we're going to go ahead and hop into wrestling if you're ready to go, sir.
I'm ready.
All right. We are actually exactly 1 month away. We have 4 weeks of wrestling before WrestleMania 9. 9 and 11 are considered some of the worst. So we got some work cut out for us for the next few years.
Yeah, I've mentioned when I was going through Raw on my own years ago, WrestleMania 9 killed my interest.
11's not much better. No, I would almost say 9 is better than 11.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, there's not one good thing about 11. Anyways, we are March 1st, 1993. We're still in New York City. We're still at the Hammerstein Ballroom. Like I said, we're 4 weeks out from WrestleMania. And we're opening the match right away. There's no intro, there's no nothing. Boom, we're in the first match. And we have the first of many on Monday Night Raw. The WWF title is up for grabs.
And that's Bret Hart versus Fatu of the Head Shrinkers.
Yes, which everybody that follows knows Fatu is the future Rikishi. So if he looks familiar in the face, that's because this is the future Rikishi, the future Sultan, Hall of Famer. He has his own wrestling school in California. Dad of the Usos. This is, he's part of the famous Samoan wrestling family.
Right.
Speaking of which, he is accompanied by one half of the Samoan family patriarch, Afa.
Ah, that's who that was.
Yeah, that's Afa. So we're opening right away with Bret's music, so he's coming out. We're right away.
Yeah, very quick opening compared to what we've seen before.
Yeah, just change it up a little bit, which is cool sometimes. But automatically we get into the worst part of the whole episode. Not only is Rob Bartlett here, Rob Bartlett is in character as Elvis, not as Rob Bartlett doing an Elvis impression. He's playing Elvis Presley.
This was absolutely the worst part of this whole week.
And he's going to be in character the entire episode. I felt bad for Randy and Vince where they had to play off that this was actually Elvis.
Yeah, as the kids say, this was super cringe.
No cap, son. This is the worst thing Bartlett's ever done, and I'm talking about week 1 from the beginning.
You know what? I agree.
And he's doing, he's making fat jokes, he's making food jokes. He's really not even commenting on the wrestling. He's like, look at me, I'm Elvis, I'm fat. Give me some snack cakes and soda pop. That was him for the entire hour.
Yeah, this it was awful.
Anyways, the match was great.
Yes, this was a good match, considering Fatu is pretty big. And Bret Hart, is Bret Hart more of a power or speed, would you say?
I wouldn't say, I think Fatu would definitely have the power advantage. Bret Hart really wasn't speed, he would be more technical.
Gotcha.
I would say Owen Hart was still the great technical wrestler, but he was faster than Bret. You'd be looking at a power versus technical matchup with this one.
Gotcha.
So, it's a classically, he's still doing the cat and mouse thing because obviously Fatu has the size and strength advantage.
Right.
And there was a moment where even I could tell Bret was very good at he's very good at what he did.
Right, that was his catchphrase.
Yeah, but no, there was a moment where he tripped and fell over Fatu, and I don't know if he tripped because there was a miscommunication, or this was part of him being smart as he was in the ring. Because he tripped and fell over Fatu, and he looks like he's holding himself. And this is the part where I think this was just a mistake, because Vince was trying to cover and say that Afa had tripped Bret. Afa was not even on the same side of the ring as Bret.
Yeah, I picked up on that.
So when Fatu came up, it looked like Bret was holding his knee, and Fatu comes up and he gets a quick roll up for 2. So I don't know how much of that was a mistake, how much of that was just Bret being Bret. I don't know.
Right.
That one, I was really confused on that part.
Yeah, it was a reasonable cover attempt.
Yeah, it was great. It was a cool, maybe, hey, I'm going to do we're going to call it in the ring, do a quick roll up thing real quick. But Bret does like a face buster, just slams Fatu's head right into the mat, and Fatu just pops up and just kicks him right in the teeth.
Yeah, that looked pretty painful.
You can't have a Samoan without a super kick.
So yeah, after this we see Fatu, he's actually working Bret's right shoulder, and that's unusual. You've pointed out they usually work the left side.
For lack of a better term, American wrestling, it's the left side. And I know for a fact that Lucha works the right side, so maybe this kind of was just it had no significance, but it's a thing to pick up. Usually when you work the left side, you're working the left arm, the left leg, the left elbow, that sort of thing.
Right.
And I felt bad for Vince because you could tell he really didn't want to appease Rob Bartlett's Elvis crap.
Yeah,
you could tell in his voice he did not want to do this.
I'm not too good at reading tone of voice, but now that you've mentioned it, I can kind of think back, and yeah, you're right.
I don't know how much of that was, obviously, we know, back then we didn't know Vince was the guy. Not a lot of people knew that Vince was in charge. Most of us knew him as a commentator, which I did as a kid. I didn't know he was the owner until, basically around the Attitude Era.
Yeah, kayfabe was not that yet.
Well, not necessarily that. He just didn't announce it a lot, and he mostly did commentary anyways.
Gotcha.
So I don't know how much of this was, hey, boss, we got a great idea for Raw, and how much of this was networks, because, sometimes networks will have an involvement. But it was just yuck.
Yeah.
So Samu starts making his way to the ring. Samu is the tag team partner of Fatu. As Samu comes out, Bret gets tossed to the outside, and Samu starts attacking him, and they go to commercial. We come back from commercial. Bret's still laid out. Obviously the Samoans are tough people.
Absolutely.
So they're beating on him. They're, as I like to say, thrashing him thusly.
Yes.
And he finally gets in the ring. Fatu whips him in the corner. I don't think there was anybody that could just take a nice, powerful whip into the corner like Bret Hart could do.
And yeah, there's a joke on the commentary about the ring shifting on that one.
Yeah, because if there was nobody that I can think of that can make it look, if it needed to look like what they call the hammer throw, where they just throw in the corner as hard as they can, I don't think there's anybody that could do it better than Bret Hart, making it look like he's dead.
Gotcha.
It looked even nastier when he would chest bump into the corner, because you could just hear the metal connecting, and it looked like he caved his chest in. No, but I don't think anybody could do it like he could. So Fatu is obviously keeping up the pressure. We're going in. Pile driver, 2 count. He's still continuing. Fatu's 100% in control. Lands a huge side slam. Second rope headbutt. Another 2 count. Brett is not giving this up easily.
Yeah, right after that, Fatu goes up to the top rope. Brett's able to recover and unbalance him, and he gets crotched. Ow.
Yeah, which doesn't... I never took that spot, but I can only imagine it still would not feel good. But Brett is actually able to recover and hit a superplex from up there for a 2 count.
Yeah, then gets another 2 count off a bulldog.
That, and he hits the an impressive backbreaker to be able to lift Fatu up like that and hit a backbreaker, which was pretty impressive. So Brett is actually able to lock in the sharpshooter, but Alpha distracts the ref. And during this distraction, Samu and Fatu switch places. And then Brett locks Fatu in a sleeper hold. They start switching each other again. Brett locks in a sleeper hold and Fatu tosses him into Samu, who does this crazy spot where he chokes himself on the top rope. Looks like he's strangling himself, but he's able to drop kick Alpha, lock in Fatu into the sharpshooter, and he does get the win on this.
Yeah, that's an 11-minute, 53-second match. We knew Brett was going to win this, but it was great.
Oh, yeah. Like, it's one of those you knew it was going in, who was going to win, but it was still enjoyable to watch. Especially if you're a month out, you're promoting Brett versus Yoko at WrestleMania.
Yeah, this is a good time to start building Brett up.
Which you didn't need to, but it was just one of those, if we're promoting that's going to be the big match, we're not going to switch the titles to a month out, especially to someone who's basically a tag wrestler. We're not going to give it to half of a tag team to main event against a monster when we're promoting our top guy to be that guy to go up against the monster. We knew who was going to go in, but it's nice to get the occasional title match on TV.
Yeah.
Speaking of WrestleMania, we're going into the WrestleMania 9 Control Center with the man, the myth, the legend, Mean Gene Okerlund. My backstage voice as a kid. Now, they're announcing the Mega Maniacs Money Inc. for the tag titles. They announced that Hulk's laid out the challenge. DiBiase has not accepted yet. We'll get the answer later on in the hour. But they already have the match graphics, so you know what's going to happen.
Uh-huh.
And they're going through the card. We're going to get, also on top of that, we're going to have Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez. Tatanka versus Shawn Michaels for the Intercontinental title. Mr. Perfect versus Lex Luger. Plus, as we already mentioned, Bret Hart and Yoko for the WWF title. And for some reason, Mean Gene threw out a Joey Buttafuco joke that was so out of place about getting his car fixed.
I assume that is a real name, that was an actual person.
Okay, so this is what happened. Back around this time, they made movies about this, but what it was is Joey Buttafuco was it was either Long Island or Staten Island. He was a grown man who had an affair with a teenager. I'm going to say 16, 17. Well, it wasn't his wife.
Okay.
Named Amy Fisher. And they were having an affair. And so at one point, Amy Fisher shows up to their house and while his wife's home, and the wife answers the door and Amy shoots her.
Oh, God.
Like, this is a real thing. This was a huge story. Like, Drew Barrymore played her in a made-for-TV movie at one point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like, this was a big thing. This was basically like, hey, I'm having an affair, and then the girl I'm having an affair with is going to shoot the wife.
Holy crap.
It's a whole thing. Like, you're a true crime guy. I think you would find this interesting because you're very much into true crime.
Right.
I think you would find it interesting. But yeah, this is basically, I think he owned like the auto body or whatever. Mean Gene made a weird joke. Not necessarily that it was weird and tasteless, which, whatever. It was just it came out of nowhere. There was no context for it.
It didn't fit.
It did not fit. It was, even knowing the story, because I remember reading about this when like I said, I was still 10 years old. We're a couple months out before my 11th birthday. Mm-hmm. I'm 10 years old. I remember this happening. But even with the context of what it is, it was out of context here. It just felt weird.
Right.
So anyways, now that the WrestleMania 9, there's still a couple matches they haven't announced yet, but basically those are the majority of the matches for WrestleMania.
There was also a quick promo from Crush, who's on vacation in Hawaii. Promo promotes his match with Doink at WrestleMania 9.
Yeah. Smashing a coconut with his bare hands.
Right.
And then we were going to go into Doink versus Coco Beware, and this is where, while Doink's coming out, this is where we had that promo with Crush about him and Doink.
Mm-hmm.
And then here comes Coco doing his entrance, flapping his arms, doing the entrance, and Doink jumps him while he's working his entrance, and just this is Doink on Coco's leg the entire match.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Coco got nothing out of this. There was this really nice transition with Doink, because if people don't realize that Doink, Ted was extremely technically sound. He was so good in the ring. At least this version of Doink. There was many people under the makeup.
Oh, what was this person's name? Do you know offhand?
Matt Bourne. He was Big Josh, the Fighting Lumberjack in WCW a couple years prior.
Gotcha.
He used to come out with actual bears, like real bears.
Wow.
But he got his start and was known primarily like in the Pacific Northwest. Your Washington and Oregon area. But he was extremely technically sound, very like he knew what he was doing. He was just a clown. You just wouldn't expect a guy dressed as a clown to be good.
You expect him to just be comic relief.
Yeah, he was very good.
Gotcha.
And one of the things I noticed was that nice single crab transition in STF that I really, really liked.
Yeah, I saw that too. That was a really good transition.
Uh-huh. So Doink goes in, swinging neck breaker, and then he locks in what's known as the stump puller for the win.
Yeah, that was only 1:51, but it seemed like it was longer.
It did. It was all right.
Wasn't bad, just kind of.
It wasn't bad. It was there. And then, quote unquote, Elvis goes to interview Doink and he gets a pie in the face.
Because of course.
Hardy har har har. Hardy har har har. Exactly. Like that, you could have taken that part out and I wouldn't have missed it.
You could cut Barbara completely and we wouldn't miss it.
Like I said, he's going to be out before hold on, while I'm looking this up, Vince is in the ring and he's going to start interviewing Money Inc. Like, hey, Hogan's called you out for a title match.
Yeah, meantime, DiBiase's talking about the CEO of American Express getting some exorbitant retirement package. It's not enough.
Well, it's $1 million man. What are you going to do?
Right.
Like I said, Ted DiBiase always lived the gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking it up right now. April 19th, so we got about another month and a half of Rob Bartlett.
Only 3.5 months total. That's
how good that's how quote unquote good he was.
Right.
He'll be gone a couple weeks after WrestleMania. By the middle of April. So he's gone not too long after WrestleMania.
Gotcha.
But yeah, Ted DiBiase lived that $1 million gimmick. And there was even times where this was true where to, flaunt him being so wealthy, they would give him petty cash for him to, like $100, hundreds of dollars to flaunt his wealth. He was living the gimmick.
Right.
So he's like, oh man, the man only got like $5 million or whatever it was in a severance package. That's peanuts,
Yeah.
He also mentions how happy Jimmy Hart is, how happy he is that Jimmy Hart's gone. IRS is glad that, what they did with Beefcake. And I thought this was funny. They said they used the beef case to smack him with it.
I missed that.
Yeah, he called it the beef case, and I was like, all right, that's funny.
That is funny.
Yeah, so they're basically just, hey, we're glad what we did. We got rid of the dead weight. We're a rich man and an accountant. We're the tag team champions. They're putting themselves over, which both of them are very good on the mic.
Right.
And then Vince finally asked him, hey, what about this challenge at WrestleMania? Ted agrees to it, so surprisingly, they made a match. They agreed to do a match that they already had the match graphic for. I know, right? Who knew?
Unusual.
I know. So we go to our next match. Lex Luger, the narcissist, who's actually going to be the narcissist for only about 4 more months, against PJ Walker. Now, most people are going to know PJ Walker from one of two things. He was the Portuguese Man of War Aldo Montoya in about a couple years here in WWF. Or most famously, ECW fans are going to know him as not just the coolest, not just the best, Justin Credible.
I've heard that name, but I don't know anything about the person.
Oh, yeah, he was a former heavyweight champion in ECW. Him and Lance Storm were known as the Impact Players. They were tag champs. He was most famously known for ECW. That was where he got his peak. And his name was Justin Credible, and that was his catchphrase. He's not just the coolest, not just the best, he's Justin Credible.
Right.
And his finisher was called the That's Incredible.
Gotcha.
So basically this whole thing is Bobby Heenan's on the phone talking about how Lex is going to do the perfect, and the whole thing is just Lex Luger's destroying poor PJ Walker.
Yeah, this is an enhancement match for sure.
Oh, it was going in, but it's the fact that poor PJ got nothing out of this. This was just to help promote Lex Luger versus Mr. Perfect. Luger hits the forearm, match is over.
Yeah, that only took 3 minutes and 17 seconds.
That poor guy. There was really nothing to talk about this match. Lex Luger just pillar to post.
Yeah, just complete stomp.
Yeah. So we go into the quote-unquote main event of the night. Shocking. The funny thing is, it's a rematch. We got Hall of Famers, the Steiner Brothers, who to this day is legit one of my all-time favorite tag teams.
Uh-huh.
If you guys really want to watch a good match, go to their WCW days. There's a match they had with, it was the Steiner Brothers versus, they were known as the Miracle Violence Connection. It was Terry Gordy and Dr. Death Steve Williams. Imagine 4 guys that are powerful like the Steiner Brothers that are just beating the shit out of each other for half an hour.
I like the sound of that.
It was a half-hour draw, and just big, brawly, burly dudes.
You don't see time limit draws a lot, like in any era, I don't think.
Yeah, but it's just the fact that just imagine 4 guys who fight like the Steiners.
Right.
Wrestling for half an hour, just beating the shit out of each other. It might be my all-time favorite Steiner Brothers match.
Gotcha.
Look it up. It's, I forget what pay-per-view it was, but it was basically the Steiners versus the Miracle Violence Connection from a couple years prior to this, and it's, mwah.
I gotcha.
It might be my favorite match for all 4 of those gentlemen. And if you, like I said, if you have a half an hour, just watch it. Just, oh, so good. Anyways, they're up against Barry Hardy and Dwayne Gill, and we've already seen these guys. I don't know if you remember this.
I believe you said Dwayne Gill eventually became Gilbert?
Yeah, but we've already seen these guys together as a tag team on Raw.
I forgot about that. When was that?
Very first episode, they fought the Steiner Brothers as the Masked Executioners.
Oh, okay.
These are the same guys.
Didn't realize
Yeah,
that.
Barry Hardy is still wrestling in the northwest, western Ohio area. As far as I know for a fact that there was a match or a card poster for a promotion that advertised him in March of 2020. Unfortunately, this was before the whole pandemic hit. As far as I know, he's still active. But, I mean, as of 2020, there was posters advertising him.
Gotcha.
And Dwayne Gill would go on to become Gilberg. And last I checked, had a wrestling school in the Baltimore area.
Good for him.
Yeah, but everybody knows him as Gilberg. Which, looking back on it, I enjoyed Gilberg. It was basically, they made fun of Goldberg with him.
Right.
And it's, to me, that's when you do comedy right. It was funny. Like, he came out with sparklers instead of fireworks, and it's great.
Gotcha.
Anyways, so we start with Scott and Barry Hardy are starting. And we've announced one more match for WrestleMania. It is the Steiner Brothers versus the Head Shrinkers, which, you know, that's going to be like, Biggie likes to say, big meaty men slapping meat.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun. But Scott's just doing what Scott does best. Throwing suplexes like it's confetti.
Yeah, some amateur-style ground wrestling I saw there.
Oh, yeah. Well, like, we've already established that, you know, these guys are collegiate champions in wrestling. So both of them were, so.
Right.
And if you guys watch NXT, you can definitely tell Braun Breaker where his inspiration was at. He actually sounds like Scott, which is crazy. It's like someone dubbed Scott's voice onto this guy.
Yeah, I haven't seen the new NXT, but I've heard good things. I've heard it's still pretty good.
Like he's one of the definite highlights. He basically, if you put both Steiner Brothers together and molded him into a wrestler, it would be Braun Breaker.
Gotcha.
He throws he sounds like his uncle and throws clotheslines like he's dad.
I see.
And we've seen the Rick Steiner clotheslines.
Yeah.
We like to call them here trauma boners.
Yeah.
So anyways, Rick charges Barry in the corner, and he gives him like a reverse like Oklahoma Stampede power slam, where it's like they're facing belly to back instead of belly to belly. Poor Dwayne tags in. He gets back body drop, tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. Scott tags in, gets a pump handle drop, just slams the poor guy. Scott had a very nice dropkick back in the day. He hits that sexy tiger driver. Frankensteiner, match is over.
Yep, and for the main event, that was 4 minutes and 8 seconds.
I liked it.
Very action-packed.
Oh, yeah. Like, that's what you got with the Steiner Brothers. There was no... They could do the ground stuff, but you knew going in that this is what you were going to get with the Steiner Brothers.
Right.
And they never disappointed.
They knew what they were good at, and they knew how to deliver.
Oh, they delivered every time. Like I said, as someone who's been a lifelong Ohio State fan, to get me to cheer 2 guys from the University of Michigan...
Right.
You're doing something right. Go Bucks. So Vince announces we have 2 matches for the next week Monday Night Raw. Money Inc. is going up against Tito Santana and Virgil. And the match I'm very excited to see, Mr. Perfect versus the model Rick Martel.
Ooh, that does sound good.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, for me, match of the night, the first one, the world title match.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that.
But I did rather enjoy, out of the enhancement matches, I really did enjoy the Steiner Brothers match the most.
Yeah, it was a good match.
Yeah.
Just like you said, just because it's an enhancement match doesn't mean it can't be good.
And it was. This was proof. This was actually a good match. I enjoyed watching this one. The other ones were just boom, boom, quick, over.
Yeah.
So, overall, that wasn't it wasn't a bad Raw. We've had much, much worse ones.
Yes, we have, absolutely.
This one, I give it a solid B.
Yeah, I think a B is fair.
Yeah. The wrestling was pretty solid overall. We got good story progression. But obviously, that worst part was Elvis.
Yeah, that was, like I said, that was super cringe.
Like I said, we only have about a month and a half of Rob Bartlett, and,
Then he goes the hell away and stays the hell away.
Yeah, like, it just... Everybody talks about the worst commentators of all time. Nobody talks about Rob Bartlett, and I don't know why.
Yeah, having seen what I've seen, I don't get why he's not in that conversation.
Yeah, he needs to be in that conversation. Anyways, all right, the second half of the show, we are talking about WCW Saturday Night from March 6th, 1993.
And once again, we're right in the action.
Yeah, and this is not the first time this happens on Saturday Night, this episode. This happens at least twice.
Yeah.
And the first match is?
Marcus Alexander Bagwell and Untitled Scorpio versus Parker and Cook. I don't remember their first name.
Buddy Lee Parker and Bob Cook.
Buddy Lee and Bob.
Yeah,
Thank you.
the Wacky Misadventures of Buddy Lee and Bob. Bagwell and Scorpio, this is a tag team you and I are both big fans of.
Yeah, they work together very well.
Yeah, and they're actually even better this match. Like I said, the match is starting while they're doing the little intro card thing. Early teamwork, but you could tell that they did some work because how crisp and excellent their timing was just...
Yeah, they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, very good. We knew who was going in with this. There was a great double team out of a double top wrist lock. It was actually really cool. Really hard to explain, but it was super innovative. Go back and watch this, and it's a very cool move.
Yeah, the spot I noticed the most, Bagwell overhead presses Scorpio and throws him into Parker and Cook.
Yeah, like it's just like it was double team the whole time. Parker is actually able to, take over a little bit after a distraction. Cook takes over from there. But Bagwell takes in Scorpio, and the crowd just goes ape for this.
Yeah, the crowd's loving this.
They love Scorpio. They love Bagwell. Goes in a little bit longer. Bagwell lands the Fisherman Suplex for the win.
Yeah, 5 minutes, 19 seconds there.
Good match.
Absolutely.
From all four. This was a good job from all four guys. Yes. Go ahead.
I would say at minimum, you need three, in a 2-on-2 tag match, you need 3 out of 4 to know what they're doing.
And you can tell...
You can carry one person, but not 2.
Yeah, I would agree with this, and you could tell that all 4 guys knew what they were doing. Because you can tell when there's one guy out of the 4 that's kind of lost or somewhat green, as they call it. All 4 guys knew what they were doing.
Yeah, I bring it up because I'm thinking of how Eric Watts has had to be carried in his matches that we've seen.
Yeah. So we go to Tony and Jesse here going over some of the show, some of the matches we're going to see, some of the wrestlers we're going to see. And Tony is actually going to be talking with Ric Flair and Missy Hyatt here just in a little bit here.
Right.
And we go to our next match.
This is Davey Boy Smith versus the Masked Wrecker.
Yep, the British Bulldog, future WWE Hall of Famer. The Wrecker starts in with a few blows before hip tosses, drop kicks from the Bulldog. Bulldog's in full control for the short match. Running power slam, over.
Minute 45.
Yeah,
the Wrecker made Davey look good.
Yeah. The Wrecker got wrecked.
Wrecked him. Damn near killed him.
Yep, this was not Ralph. So we come back from commercial with Tony, who's doing an interview with Missy Hyatt. She says she wants to be more than an announcer. But the way it sounds like she's trying to look for somebody, she wants to be somebody's manager.
Right.
She wants to be an announcer and a manager. But she still is bound and determined to talk to Ric Flair. That's her thing she needs to do this whole time.
Yeah.
So we cut away from that. We're going into a non-title match. It is Vinnie Vegas and Big Sky versus the World Tag Team Champions Ricky Steamboat and Shane Douglas.
We start off with Vegas and Douglas, with the announcers talking about how how big Vegas is compared to Douglas. So I'm immediately expecting a power versus speed.
Oh, 100%. Like Big Sky is about the same size as Vinnie Vegas, so they got the height and the power against the tag champs here.
Right.
And basically, so Douglas is able to get that blind tag to Steamboat, and they're doing quick tags in and out. They're trying to work on Vinnie Vegas' arm. Sky is able to tag in, but Steamboat uses that speed that he was known for. So right now, at least at the beginning of the match, the champs are in control.
Yeah.
Big Sky catches a diving Douglas and just drops him. He just boom, throws him.
Splat.
So they cut to commercial. They back from commercial, and Vinnie Vegas is now in full control of Shane Douglas. And Steamboat is tired of this. He jumps in, he starts grappling with Vinnie Vegas. And Big Sky lands this. I thought it looked up really nice. It's a two-handed choke slam onto Shane Douglas.
Mm-hmm.
Who, a couple minutes later, Douglas gets a desperation like a face slam. Still can't make the tag. And after many minutes, like the heels in this match are in control for the majority of the match.
Yeah, it's about this point where the announcers point out both feet have to be on the mat to make a tag.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, but didn't consciously process it, but having heard it said, I see it now.
You're also supposed to make sure you hold the tag rope while you're making the tag too.
Yeah, I knew that was what that was there.
Yeah. I always remember this. This was, slight tangent, slight deviation. There was a match I was watching on SmackDown many years ago. During the whole year of the SmackDown 6, the Guerreros and Angle and Benoit and Edge, and like the SmackDown 6.
Gotcha.
There was a match, I forget who was in it other than Eddie Guerrero. And, he's trying to, this is when Eddie Guerrero was doing the whole light cheat and steel gimmick. And he was like, Eddie Guerrero knew how to play to the crowd. He would do all the goofy stuff. And he's trying to get a tag. But the ref was like, hey, stand in the corner. You got to hold the tag rope. So what Eddie Guerrero did, he loosened the tag rope, slid it to the middle. Like he's standing in the middle of the apron, holding onto the tag rope to get the tag. And he's like, hey, look, I'm holding the tag rope.
I love that.
It was fantastic. Like, it's still making me smile. He would do small stuff like that, and it was just, mwah.
That's so good.
I was like, see what you did there. Like, you guys are never going to understand how much I love Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah, letter of the law.
Yeah, hey, hold on to it. You didn't say where it had to be. But it was just, I will never speak highly enough about how much I love Eddie Guerrero, and which I was honored enough to actually meet him once.
Oh, I didn't know that. You haven't told me that.
Yeah, I actually had the privilege of meeting Eddie Guerrero once, and it was, they say don't meet your heroes. I don't have many heroes in wrestling. I've got to meet two of them.
The Guerrero and Bret Hart, right?
Bret Hart, yep. That's been my Facebook profile picture for, 15 years?
Yeah.
2009, 2010.
So yeah, 12, 13.
Well over 10 years. Anyways, tangent over. Steamboat finally gets the hot tag, and we turn this into a pure six brawl.
Yep.
And Steamboat looks like he's going off the top, more than likely to hit like the flying chop or his crossbody finisher. And here come the Hollywood Blondes. They throw him off of the top rope, and disqualification. The good guys win.
Yep.
And
that's a match time of 9 minutes 41 seconds.
It wasn't bad.
No, not at all.
I liked it. No. And basically, everybody ends up brawling as the show goes to commercial. We're still, working towards that title match happening between the Blondes and Steamboat and Douglas.
Uh-huh.
So we go to our next match. Max Payne versus Rick Hardrock.
I wasn't expecting much from this.
No, but it also sounds like he should be in the Flintstones.
Yeah.
Rick Hardrock. Basically, this was just Max Payne using that. We've already established that he's an amateur background as well.
Yeah, and you can see him use that here.
Yeah, basically takedowns, handful of takedowns. He locks in the painkiller, match is over.
Yeah, that was only a minute 32. Payne looked good, even though Hardrock did not a thing.
Yeah. Right next to our next very short match, Johnny B. Bad versus Danny Dietz. One thing I noticed in this short match, Bad gave Danny Dietz a back body drop and damn near flipping full on over.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so Danny Dietz was able to get a few more shots in, but he runs into that left hook, match is over.
1 minute, 41 seconds. Again, Johnny looked good here.
Yeah. And, ironically, we're actually going to start working towards a feud between those two men.
I'll look forward to that.
Between Johnny B. Bad and Max Payne, there's going to be a feud coming up here in the near future.
Gotcha.
So we come into the second match that was already starting by the time we come back, or, the intros, the commercial breaks, is the Wrecking Crew versus Dave Hart and Mick Heber. And we knew this was going to be for, we're trying, obviously the Wrecking Crew were upset by the Cole Twins last week, and this is them just getting their revenge on these poor guys, and they just beat the ever-living dog shit out of them.
Yeah, this lasts only 49 seconds. This was boring.
Bam, bam. Well, see, this is what they were doing. They got the wrecking ball. What they were doing, what this match was doing, is because they get a mic, they call out the Cole twins.
Right.
This was them just taking their aggressions out on poor Dave and Mick. Hey, we want the Cole twins. So the Cole twins come out, and we get a second tag match right away. It is a rematch of the Wrecking Crew and the Cole twins. The officials in the back say they were given 5 minutes for this match.
Uh-huh. And I have no idea who's who between the Coles. So, like, they didn't even try.
Cole, I gave up after the first. After last week, I just gave up. I just put in my notes. It's Cole tags in other Cole. Cole doesn't move to tag in the other Cole.
Yeah.
I know they're Keith and Kent. That's all I know.
Okay.
That's all I know. I know their names. I couldn't tell them apart if you asked me to.
Yeah, that's about where I was too.
Yeah. So they get a couple some shoulder blocks in. The Wrecking Crew powders out, but they're able to get the advantage, and Cole 1 gets slammed hard a couple of times. Rage misses a corner splash as the other Cole tags in. So that Cole goes for a crossbody, but he gets slammed really hard.
Uh-huh.
Fury is able to lock in a big bear hug. And during this, the match is breaking down before we get a double down, but the match is just broken down already.
Yeah.
The Coles do the twin magic. They switch on the outside, and they get a quick small package, and they beat the Wrecking Crew again.
Yeah, that was just okay. Lasted 4 minutes 11.
Yeah, the match last week was better.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we're just continuing the whole, hey, what's going on here? Wrecking Crew is now going to be even more pissed.
Yeah.
So we get our first appearance, at least of the podcast, of Ravishing Rick Rude. I was a big fan of this guy. I first saw him in WWF. I was a big fan of this guy. Basically, he's calling out Dustin Rhodes. Dustin Rhodes got a target on his back. He's coming for that U.S. title that he technically never lost.
Right.
For those that don't remember, we got the finals of it. I think it was our first episode.
Yeah. There
was a tournament for the United States title. The winner became the number one contender, got a title shot. But during the whole time frame, Rick Rude got legitimately injured and couldn't defend the title. So they decided at the last minute that we're going to strip him of the title, and now the tournament is now for the title.
Right.
Which Dustin Rhodes won, so he's the current U.S. champion. And now Rick Rude's coming back saying, I want my title back.
Right.
Which that's going to be good. I've seen them wrestle together. It's so good.
I'll take your word for it. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so speaking of Dustin Rhodes, we come in with Dustin Rhodes versus Rip Rogers. And Jesse, I caught this and I laughed hard on this, which I'm far from a country music fan. Anybody that knows me knows I do not like country music.
I can deal with it, but I don't seek it out.
Dustin Rhodes' theme song is a banger.
What's it called? Do you know offhand?
The Natural. It's called The Natural.
Okay.
That theme song is a banger. Or as the kids call it, that song is a bop.
I gotcha.
That is a wrestling theme song. You get up and you're like, oh, shit.
I gotcha.
That's a good theme. There's good theme songs and there's bad theme songs.
Yeah.
That is a good theme song.
I gotcha.
Anyway, it reminds me because Jesse called this, Dustin's coming out to Texas goat roper music. He called it Texas goat roper music.
Well, of course.
Well, he is from Texas.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he's from Texas. So he's actually in control for the majority of the beginning of the match. Rip Rogers is able to take control for a little bit with his gorgeous unicorn haircut.
Yeah, Dustin's playing the ground game again, keeping him on the mat.
Oh, yeah, he's like I said, he's doing what he does. He's doing what he does best.
Right.
Dustin Rhodes hits that, and it's a nasty Larry Bulldog over with.
Yeah, 5 minutes and 6 seconds for that. Solid, basic match.
Oh yeah, it was great. Once again, you won't find many people that are so sound with the basics like Dustin Rhodes. To this day, he can still pull off stuff like this.
Gotcha.
He's so good.
He's over in AEW now, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, like, you could tell that he's so good, and he's just as good now as he was then.
Gotcha.
He didn't lose any of it. And that just showed you how good he is. Like, he just went up against CM Punk before their last pay-per-view, and it was a really good match.
Uh-huh.
And he was able to keep up with CM Punk, who can still really go.
How old are they now? Do you know offhand?
I know Dustin Rhodes. Let me pull this up real quick.
Okay.
I know Dustin has to be in his 50s.
Okay, Punk is 43 years old.
He's 43. I was damn near spot on 53.
Gotcha.
So yeah, Dustin Rhodes is 53 years old, and he's going now like he was going 30 years ago.
Right.
So if that tells you how good he is now,
how much better must he have been back then?
Yeah, like I said, he can go. He's going at this pace now, and it's absolutely mind blowing.
Right.
So, anyways, speaking of Dustin, Tony is interviewing Dustin Rhodes after the match because Paul Orendorf's been calling him out for a title shot. Rhodes says, "Sign on the dotted line. We can throw down."
Says the same thing with regard to Rick Rude.
Yep, and he's basically a fighting champion. Anybody wants a shot, put your name on the dotted line, and we'll throw down.
Right.
And then Orendorf comes out, starts talking trash with Dustin Rhodes.
Yet Rhodes calls him Paula and just walks off.
Yeah, because that was the thing. Everybody, to piss him off, everybody in the crowd would start doing Paula chants. Because his name was Paul, so they would call him Paula. Tony comes back from commercial, interviewing Ric Flair. Obviously, the crowd loves Ric Flair. Missy's still trying to get into Ric Flair, but his security detail stops her. And Ric Flair does what Ric Flair does best, with all his catchphrases and everything. He calls out Dustin and Vader for title shots. He's like, look, I want the titles. I'm coming for anybody. Basically, anybody that's got a title, I'm coming for you.
Yeah, he calls out Barry Windham, too.
Yep, because Barry Windham is the NWA World Heavyweight Champion.
That Rick never lost.
Yep. Arn Anderson comes out. Fans are getting excited because they know what's coming out.
Yeah, and I actually saw it this time. As he's calling out Eric Watts, he's giving that Four Horsemen hand sign you were talking about last
Yep, because he mentions Bill Watts is gone from the company, which he was. The Clash of the Champions we covered in episode 1 was basically one of his last moments in WCW.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So he's like, guess what, baby boy Eric? You're all alone. Daddy's not going to save you now. And you can honestly tell, once Bill Watts is gone, how Eric starts falling lower down the card.
I gotcha.
You'll see it. Basically, guess what? I'm here. I'm still here to whip your ass, but Daddy's not going to save you anymore. You're mine now.
Yeah, and now that you pointed it out, now I know to look for it.
Yeah. And then Arn throws up the 4 fingers again. The crowd goes nuts, and then we go to segment's over. It was, once again, it's great. I love me some Arn Anderson.
Yeah.
Big fan. So speaking of Paulo, we go to Mr. Wonderful Paul Orendorf versus Larry Santo.
Orendorf's going real hard right out the gate.
I don't know why I'm getting some kind of weird Ninja Turtle vibes with Larry.
Huh.
But either way, he's taking it out on poor Larry for the whole Paulo thing. Santo does try to take over, but Orton just bashes him with a back suplex. And he's just so much damage on this poor guy. He's basically taking all his frustration out he had on Dustin on poor Larry.
Uh-huh.
Lane's pile driver, match is over.
Yeah, they both look good for that 2 minutes and 29 seconds.
Yeah. So we go to our quote-unquote main event. Sting versus Bruiser Mastino. And if Bruiser looks familiar, I'm going to quote Jim Ross from Bad Blood 1997. That's gotta be Kane!
That's who it is?
That's Kane.
I did not realize.
That's early Kane. This is about a couple years before he's doing the Isaac Yankem DDS in WWF. I've always wanted to do that, and I just found a way to actually do the Bad Blood 97.
Gotcha.
That's early Kane. Sting gets a bit surprised by the big old Bruiser Mastino shoulder block.
Uh-huh. And I also noted as this starts, the crowd is very loud.
Oh, yeah, it's Sting. He was the top guy for many years.
Right.
He was one of those that the kids loved him and the adults also loved him.
I gotcha.
Like, I was a huge, during this time, I was what they called the Little Stinger.
Gotcha.
I mean, you got a guy with the crew cut, super strong, bright face paint, bright tights. Kids are gonna, it's like the Ultimate Warrior thing. Kids are gonna love the Ultimate Warrior.
Uh-huh.
Like, I love the Ultimate Warrior as a kid, because it's, you got the tassels and the face paint and the, Sting was about the same way, which, funny thing is, they used to be tag partners way back in the day.
Did not know that.
They were known as the Blade Runners.
Cool.
It was Blade Runner Rock and Blade Runner something. But yeah, they were very early on in their careers, they were tag partners and they went their own separate ways. One became Sting and one became the Ultimate Warrior.
Gotcha.
So anyways, Sting gets surprised by that shoulder block and he answers with that rolling capo kick that we see. And Sting gets pushed into the corner. Mastino lands a bunch of shots in the corner before Sting counters with his own turnbuckle shots and a Stinger splash.
Mm-hmm.
Locks in the Scorpion Deathlock, and the match is over.
Yeah, they both look good for that 2 minutes and 56 seconds.
Oh, yeah, he looked very good. And then Tony looks to go interview Sting ringside about something. But there really was no interview. Sting played to the crowd, and the show ended.
Yeah, just doing a call and response thing.
Basically. And that's WCW Saturday Night. Overall, pretty solid as well.
Agreed. I'd give this a B.
I would too. Like, there's not really, like, I'll have to check to see when the next Clash of the Champions is. And I want to say they're still about 3 months out from their next pay-per-view. So, a lot of basically, oh God, what do they do with the airplanes when they're waiting, when they're flying around waiting to land?
Holding position.
Thank you. Basically, right now we're in holding position before the next pay-per-view. We're going to be starting doing that here soon.
Gotcha.
So there's not a lot really going on. I know they have the television title tournament on their other shows. So,
all right. So, which was your favorite match of our episode?
Oh, the world title match.
I'm gonna say Bagwell and Scorpio versus Parker and Cook was my favorite overall.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just super solid tag wrestling, and I really like that.
Hey, not a problem with that. We're not going to agree on everything.
Would be boring if we did.
No, that might be my favorite match of this show.
Right.
But I really liked, like I said, you got Bret Hart, you got the future Rikishi, you got the Wild Samoans. There was a lot of movie parts that I think worked really well for my taste.
I agree. They were both solid matches. I just like the tag match a little better.
Yeah, like you and I have different tastes of what we like when we watch our wrestling.
Yeah.
I'm one of those that's very like, let me get a little bit of column A, column B, as long as it makes sense. Because I'm the aspect that if you do comedy wrestling right, it's fantastic. As long as you don't overdo it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect example is currently one of my favorite, when it comes to the comedy stuff, love me some Orange Cassidy. To me, Orange Cassidy has to be one of the smartest wrestlers in the world right now.
For my money, since I started watching around 2014, I really like the silly stuff R-Truth gets up to.
Oh, R-Truth's fantastic. R-Truth, first ballot Hall of Famer. I watched him do a promo where he got Brock Lesnar to laugh.
Really? I don't think I remember that.
Yeah. There was a thing they were talking about, and it was a bet. Somebody had a bet where had R-Truth come out and see if he could make Brock Lesnar break character in the middle of the ring.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, and it's on there. It was when Brock Lesnar did the Royal Rumble where he took out half of the Royal Rumble by himself.
I saw that pay-per-view, actually.
At first, I didn't like it, but once in hindsight storyline, I thought that part was great.
Gotcha.
But regardless, so Brock Lesnar's out there with Paul Heyman. R-Truth starts cutting his thing. He's like, and when I get the Royal Rumble, I'm going to throw you out, Paul Heyman. And Paul Heyman's looking at him and he goes, what are you talking about? And then you look and Brock Lesnar is just cracking the fuck up. But yeah, dude, R-Truth might be up there. I like Orange Cassidy only because it's just like Orange Cassidy honestly shouldn't work.
Like the character, you mean?
Yeah, that should not work. The guy's like, I'm just here. I'm all right. I'm here. Let me do my thing. But he does it so well. The whole hands in the pockets and the whole, okay.
I gotcha.
But he can go. When he goes, speaking of Sting, there was a match in AEW where it was Darby Allin versus one of the guys in the Best Friends. And Sting and Orange Cassidy are facing each other outside. You're like, oh God, this is awesome. And Orange Cassidy does that thing where he does the light little kicks to the leg. He's like, You know, the kick thing he does?
Uh-huh.
And then he goes, it's supposed to be like, oh, and then he super kicks him in the shin, but it's like he's barely touching him. But that's the thing, he's too bored.
Right.
He's going in slow motion. And Sting does this thing where he starts hitting Orange Cassidy, and then when Sting starts beating his chest and starts screaming.
Uh-huh.
Sting just just barely beats his chest. Like he's playing along with Orange Cassidy.
Oh, okay, yeah, that does sound amazing.
It is, and it's just Sting just going full. He's like, when comedy done right, it's fantastic.
But it's also super easy to screw up, I would guess.
Yeah. Another comedy, I know we're going off on comedy wrestling here for a second. One of my favorite other guys that could do comedy really well was Santino Morella. There was a segment, he was doing this thing with, when Vladimir Kozlov was his goofy sidekick, when he was done being I'm an evil Russian.
Uh-huh.
They were doing this thing with, Seamus. Hey, we're in London, we're going to have tea with Shamus. He called him Shamus. And Seamus, he's Irish, he's pale.
Yeah. And
both of them are just like freaking Oddjob, Kozlov, and Santino were just like Odd Job with a bowler hat and a tuxedo and everything.
Oh God.
And we're in London, we're gonna have tea, we're gonna break bread, we're gonna squash this beef. And there was a moment where Santino goes to like, would you like some milk for your tea? I don't want it to be too milky. I mean not milky, not like, milky like you, or like, pale like.
Oh gosh.
And there was another one. Like, I keep thinking of Santino because he might be up there too with R-Truth. It's in the Royal Rumble, and Mick Foley is in the Royal Rumble with Santino. They have a Mr. Socko Cobra face-off. Because he had the Cobra sock, right?
Right.
Mick Foley puts on Mr. Socko. Santino puts on the Cobra sock, and they have a hand fight.
Oh my gosh.
In the middle of the Royal Rumble.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Brilliant. Like, stuff like that, I will pop for.
Yeah, that's great.
Like, but comedy has its place in wrestling.
Absolutely, I agree.
Just like, my least favorite style of wrestling is the death match for the sake of death match.
You need a reason for it to go that far.
Yeah, like, do I really need the barbed wire, light tube, flaming door, no ring, landmine, Shark Tank, death? No, that's not my thing. But if you give me a reason why these guys are street fight, blood, guts, beating the shit out of each other, I'm on board.
Right.
Look up for an example for this. It's Ring of Honor, actually. Look up the Final Battle match. They call it Fight Without Honor because you're supposed to handshake and Ring of Honor, the whole thing. Fight Without Honor. It's Kevin Steen. This is when Kevin Owens was Kevin Steen versus El Generico because they had because they were a tag team together in a Ring of Honor.
That was Sami Zayn, right? El Generico?
Quote unquote, maybe. Last we know, El Generico went down to open up an orphanage in Mexico.
Okay.
That's the joke.
Gotcha.
That's the joke. It's totally not. Sami Zayn's not El Generico. El Generico went down to Mexico to open up an orphanage. And then he died in a fire. It's one of those things, wink. I'm totally not El Generico, wink. They were a tag team together, and Kevin Steen turned on him. And they took literally an entire calendar year to set up this match.
That's a real slow burn.
And it was Mask versus Career. Holy shit.
Tore the house down?
It got, was it Wrestling Observer Match of the Year? One of the big wrestling newsletters, it got Match of the Year.
Gotcha.
And which Kevin Steen lost, which set up a whole nother long-term storyline that ended up with Kevin Steen as Ring of Honor champion.
Oh, wow.
Like, this year-long storyline basically turned into another long-term storyline.
Always nice when the bookers know what they're doing. They can make those things happen.
Yeah, like, so, to me, I've seen comedy that doesn't land. Like, you don't need ultra violence every show. You don't need comedy every show. You don't need your 45-minute technical masterpieces every show.
Right.
But I think comedy, hardcore, technical, everything has a place if done right.
Yes.
Like you mentioned, R-Truth I think is the best at doing comedy right now, period. Like he's got a job for life. Or what was it, the Royal Rumble, but he came out with the ladder because he's gonna climb the ring for the Money in the Bank, and they're like, you're not even in it.
Yeah, there was a whole thing. That was a whole thing. Like he comes out to talk about the Royal Rumble. No, what was it?
I think it was the Royal Rumble, but he came out that he's gonna climb each rung of the ladder to win. They're like, that's Money in the Bank, you idiot. Oh, my bad.
Yeah, and then at the previous Money in the Bank, he thought he was in the match, but he wasn't.
Yeah, or the fact that he got an invisible little boy over. Little Jimmy. He got an invisible little boy over to the point there was Little Jimmy merchandise.
I missed that part. I missed that whole thing somehow.
Did they? I didn't think they honestly released a Little Jimmy action figure. Let me check. I think I think it might have been fake, but I saw pictures of a Little Jimmy action figure. Hold on, was this a real thing? Like, is this what? Hold on.
WWE's website has a collection of photos of R-Truth with Little Jimmy, but all of them are just either R-Truth hugging an invisible person or it's just, oh god, this is amazing.
Yeah, but I see pictures, but I don't know if it's a real thing.
Right.
Like, if it's a real thing, this is absolutely brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. But yeah, that stuff's funny as hell.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. In the best way.
Yeah. So, now you can't blame just me for that tangent. But yeah, basically we're just trying to say that all forms of wrestling styles can be done well and also be done horribly. I've seen both that are just everything that under the sun that's horrible.
Yes, absolutely.
I think we can all agree that they all have their place regardless of you're a fan of it or not.
Agreed.
So, thank you everybody. Once again, our apologies for the sudden break. Thank you for being patient with us. And like we said at the top of the show, this is going to be more vaguely Russell-centric. We will do the very occasional pop culture stuff. We still talk about pop culture references in the show, but as in like pop culture specific episodes, we're going to save those for special occasions.
Yes.
So next week, we're going to be doing the week of March 8th, 1993, between Monday Night Raw and WCW Saturday Night.
Looking forward to it.
Yes, you can find the podcast on Twitter at D and A Podcast 1. We are on YouTube every Friday. And then on Saturdays, you can find us on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple. We're on Good Pods. So follow me on Good Pods. Follow the podcast on Good Pods. Give us, we would love the 5 stars, thumbs up. Help us move up the algorithm so more people can see us.
Yes, every bit of engagement helps.
Absolutely. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, soon to be YouTube, but TBD, Instagram barely, TikTok at Xander Invictus.
And I can be found on most of the same socials at Big Boct.
So thank you very much for, I guess you would say, the return of Dropkicks and Attractions, and we will see you guys next week.
Take care, everybody.